My son denied getting his teacher pregnant until the DNA test exposed a shocking truth. Now she wants marriage or child support. Hello Reddit I plus here. I never thought I'd be sitting in a courtroom watching my 19-year-old son squirm under the weight of a paternity test. But here we were, and nothing could have prepared us for the truth. It all started 6 months ago when Ms. Callahan, his former high school English teacher, claimed she was pregnant with his child. At 34 years old, she was nearly twice his age, and when I first heard the accusation, I laughed. My son, Caleb, had been focused on work and college. He was no ladies' man. Hell, he barely had time for a social life. But then came the whispers, the stares, parents at the grocery store, at church, at his job. People started treating him like a walking scandal. And Ms. Callahan, she wasn't backing down. She says the baby is yours, Caleb. I told him one evening after work, if there's even the slightest chance, there's no chance, Mom. He interrupted, his jaw clenched. I never slept with her. I wanted to believe him. I did believe him. But Ms. Callahan had gone as far as filing for child support before the baby was even born, claiming she would seek a court order if Caleb refused. So, we took the test. And the results shattered our world. 0.9% probability of paternity. Caleb turned ghost white, gripping the paper and shaking hands. I felt the room tilt, my stomach twisting in knots. That's not possible, he whispered. But science didn't lie. The next day, Ms. Callahan arrived at our house, her newborn son swaddled in blue. She held him with a mix of smugness and satisfaction, acting like we owed her something. You have two choices, she said coolly. Marriage or child support. I prefer marriage. It's better for the baby. I nearly lunged at her, but Caleb grabbed my wrist. Tell me the truth, he demanded. How did this happen? She smiled, adjusting the baby's blanket. We had one too many drinks at the graduation party I hosted for my seniors. You were there, Caleb. I sucked in a sharp breath. No, Caleb said, shaking his head. I remember that party. I had 2 beers. I left early. She shrugged. Maybe you don't remember everything. That's when it clicked. You drugged him, I breathed. Her expression flickered. Just for a second, but it was enough. My stomach turned as the realization sank in. You took advantage of my son, Ms. Callahan scoffed, rolling her eyes. Oh, please, he's an adult. Caleb's hands curled into fists. An adult who was unconscious? Who doesn't even remember sleeping with you? But her confidence didn't waver. It doesn't matter. The DNA test says you're the father, and that means you're responsible. I clenched my fists so hard my nails bit into my palms. We'll see about that. We went straight to a lawyer, then another, and another. Each one told us the same thing. The DNA test was ironclad. Consent was another issue entirely, but proving it? Nearly impossible. Caleb was devastated. His future, his reputation, his entire life was being stolen by a woman who saw him as nothing more than a walking ATM. That's when I got desperate. I did something drastic. I hired a private investigator. It took weeks, but what he found changed everything. Ms. Callahan had a history. 3 years ago, she was quietly dismissed from another district after a male student accused her of inappropriate behavior. His parents were paid off to keep quiet. And now, here she was, pulling the same stunt. Only this time, she had proof in the form of a baby. With this information, we took her to court. She came in confident, her lawyer smirking like this was just another paycheck. But when our attorney presented the evidence, her past accusations, the doctored security footage of her sneaking something into Caleb's drink at the party, the other former student who came forward, her face crumbled. The judge ordered a deeper investigation. Ms. Callahan's lawyer paled. She was going down. She had expected a helpless teenage boy to roll over and take responsibility. She hadn't expected us to fight back. And then, the final nail in her coffin, her own ex-boyfriend came forward with texts where she admitted that she wasn't even sure Caleb was the father. The judge tossed the case. Caleb was free. Ms. Callahan was arrested for sexual misconduct and fraud. The baby, an innocent victim in all this, was placed with his biological father, a former co-worker of hers who had no idea she had been pregnant. Caleb was shaken, but determined. I'm never touching alcohol at a party again, he muttered. I hugged him tight, relieved beyond words. And as for Ms. Callahan, she thought she could trap my son. She thought she could ruin his life. But in the end, she only destroyed herself. Months passed, and Caleb slowly pieced his life back together. The whispers stopped. The judgmental stares faded. He transferred schools for a fresh start, though the scars of the ordeal lingered. Ms. Callahan, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. She lost her teaching license, her reputation, and her freedom. The state pressed charges for sexual misconduct, falsifying evidence, and paternity fraud. At her sentencing, she finally broke down. "I just wanted security," she sobbed. "I never meant to hurt anyone, but it was too late for regrets." Caleb never looked back. He refused to let one vile person define his future. As we walked out of the courthouse, I squeezed his shoulder. "It's over," I whispered. He exhaled deeply, as if finally letting go of the nightmare, and with that, we moved on. Stronger, wiser, and determined to never let anyone take advantage of us again.